companion for today's interview session of Phenomena 2.0. We extend our gratitude and are blessed to have an eminent personality like yours on board. Anupama Chopra, ma'am, is a very well known film critic, journalist, and an eminent Indian author who has experienced Bollywood in and out throughout the ages. She recently wrote a book, A Place in My Heart, which is a blend of recommendations and remembrances, nostalgia and narratives. Needless to say that her relationship with cinema has been a passionate and enduring one, which finds itself encapsulated in her new book, A Place in My Heart. I urge all my Bollywood buddies I urge all my Bollywood buddies to go and check out this book to get your Bollywood memories refreshed. We are extremely happy to have her here to guide us on the topic of Journey of India through the Bollywood lens. Now, I would request my fellow team members, Manya and Anshika, to take the interview forward. Over to you, Manya and Anshika.
Okay, greetings for the day, ma'am. So,
Hi.
my first question to you would be, ma'am, what has the journey of Bollywood been like in the last 10 years? And what are some of the major changes that we notice today? Comparing the old films versus today.
It's been very, very interesting, honestly. And I think, of course, the biggest and the most drastic change has been the coming in of streaming platforms, which has completely fundamentally shifted the economic landscape, the landscape, especially for writers, because on streaming platforms, writers are the biggest power center, as opposed to directors who can change from episode to episode, and even actors, because it's really like, so Patal Lok, the writer was the showrunner, which is been a massive change. And the other massive change has been the sort of real emergence of women in film. And when I say film, I mean entertainment, because there is such a, it started, let's say, about 10, 11 years ago with Vidya Balan's film, The Dirty Picture, becoming a very, very big success at the box office. And then every year you saw a few films, like Razi or other films that, Tanu Weds Manu, these kind of films kind of propelling Piku, films that were led by women, narratives that were led by women, becoming very big hits. And I think that has slowly really changed the playing ground, and streaming platforms have really changed the playing ground for women, because now women of a certain age, women in their 30s and their 40s are playing pivotal roles. Madhuri Dixit has her own series built around her. So I think those are really, really exciting and positive changes.
That's very good to know, ma'am. So, firstly, a very, very congratulations for your new book. So, my second question revolves around that you recently published a book, A Place in My Heart, which revolves around Bollywood. Would you like to share with the audience what all the book is all about?
Actually, it doesn't revolve only around the Hindi film industry, because there's also films from Malayalam cinema, Tamil cinema in it. Basically, it's about movies and film artists and film events that have a place in my heart. That's why the book is called A Place in My Heart. So it's sort of a mix of recommendations, because I'm recommending films for you guys to watch. Hopefully, you will discover films that you otherwise didn't know about or never considered watching. It's also remembrances, because I've been a film journalist now for 25 plus years. So how the film industry used to function, what has changed now. So there's nostalgia built into it. And there's also my experience of being a frontline sort of observer of Indian entertainment and showbiz, and the kind of experiences I had. So it's a mix of all these things.
Okay, you must have gained some inspiration sort of thing to write this book, and all of your journeys and experiences combined into one book. What was it one thing, or what were the things that inspired you to write this book?
I really wanted to get back to writing because, and of course, I'm writing all the time because I'm writing out all my reviews, but to a sort of slightly deeper kind of, or a more longer term commitment is really what I was trying to go for here. Even though the book is pretty much a listicle, which means every entry is whatever, 1,500, 2,000 words or so. But I really, because writing books is such a, it's a different muscle, it takes a lot to kind of make that commitment and just stay with it and keep writing and keep going and then see the fruit of your labor like 1 year later, so I wanted to experience that again. I've written many books, but I hadn't written a book in at least the last 10 years. And I felt like, especially being a digital journalist and running Film Companion, I felt like I've become too plugged into this cycle of create, instantly satisfy, instant satisfaction, comments on social media. So I wanted to go for a slightly longer kind of play, which is what inspired me to write the book.
Ma'am, I hope that you write more books like that and
Thank
just
you.
for us. And ma'am, any 3 learning you would like to share with our audience from the book?
The book is, you mean from the experience of writing the book?
Yes, ma'am. And from the book itself.
Well, the book isn't so much, in terms of learning, my hope is really that I can maybe introduce some people who might not consider watching films in a language that they don't know. I'm hoping that, you read the book and maybe you think that, okay, I will look at this Malayalam film or look at this Tamil film, or I think it's very important now for us to stop kind of thinking about it as Bollywood and then Tollywood and Mollywood, and I think it's Indian cinema, and there's such exciting work happening across the country, and it's very important that we acknowledge that work and we celebrate that work, rather than just consistently sort of talking about Bollywood. And I think that was my main learning. In the last 2 years, genuinely, that has been my main learning, because OTT platforms combined with the pandemic and the lockdown sort of give us access to, content from all over the country, as well as the time to look at content from all over the country. And it's been a great, great education for me. So I'm hoping that, maybe that can be a learning for other people too. I think you're on mute.
Manya, you're muted.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So there must be one part of the book you feel the most connected to. We build an emotional connect, like the one you wanted to write about the most. What is that one part you feel connected to?
There isn't, because it's all things. So literally, it's a thing. When you watch films for a living,
Okay.
it's not that you ever have like one film that speaks to you. I could write another book called A Place in My Heart Part 2,
Okay.
which would have another 51 entries, because I love the movies so much. The movies speak to me in such a deep way. I engage with the films every single day. So I don't think there's one part which speaks more to me. I mean, and I've written about things like the Mumbai Film Festival, which I worked on, or the Cannes Film Festival, which was such a kind of career-altering experience for me. So all of this, I think, it all just kind of connects together.
We all are, students. So what are some movie suggestions for us? Like we should take inspiration from or something like that. You would have a very rich experience in that. And if you could guide us, when we say that when we see things, we understand. And when I personally tend to, see things and see movies, I build a connect with them and I'm like, no, I have to do this now. If like I saw Dangal, I was like, I have to do something in my life as well. So yeah.
So you mean movies that inspire?
Yeah, movies that inspire and motivates all the students to, get going in their lives. What are some suggestions that we should definitely watch?
Wow, that's a tough one. And though of course, they're the obvious ones. There's the Three Idiots and those kind of movies, which are the most obvious ones that can shape your mindset. But I think there's also movies that sort of trigger empathy, where you see the experiences of people who are very, very unlike you, and yet they kind of make you see the world in a very different way. By the way, the most recent film I saw about college life was a Malayalam film called Hridayam, which is lovely, and it was in the theaters. I don't think it's on a streaming platform yet, but whenever it is, guys, you should try and watch it. It's a beautiful coming of age film, which begins in college and follows this man from when he first goes to college in Chennai to when he's like a early 30s type, so it's like about a decade in his life, which is really lovely. But I'm also thinking of films that sort of open up your head, right? So there's a film called Super Deluxe, which is a Tamil film, and it's directed by Kumar Raja Tyagarajan, and it's just a film that will blow your mind because it's got so much going on. It's like multiple stories that finally all connect, and the palette. And I'm not saying that you should watch Super Deluxe as for inspiration. There's no the inspiration in that film is that life is glorious, and live it to the fullest, which I think is a wonderful. But the way he says it, the way he tells this story of how to be more compassionate, how to be more open, how to just see people and value people for who they are, is just remarkable. That's a film I really, really loved, and I think everyone should watch it. And folks, if you haven't seen it yet, this is a film that released last year, I want to say. It's a Malayalam film called The Great Indian Kitchen, and it is, I believe, on Amazon. And I think that film should be required viewing in educational institutes because it looks at women. It looks at a housewife and what she goes through. She has an arranged marriage, and how just the kitchen becomes this place of great oppression, and and these are experiences we've seen all our lives. This is our moms. This is our aunts. This is and it's such an eye opener that it's remarkable. Especially all the men on this call. Please go out and see The Great Indian Kitchen.
Yes, exactly. Sensitization is really, really important in today's world. And I believe that these days, I asked the first question, that, there has been a remarkable trend. Even these days, we are highlighting gender-based issues, and even we are highlighting a lot of transgender community in the movies, which becomes really great because sensitization is really important. Ma'am, one more thing, that the OTT platforms are really trending these days. Do you think they are a positive in a way, or they are negative? And what's your take on OTT platforms? And do you believe that the job of a film critic becomes difficult as OTT platforms are more trending these days, and they show? Basically, they're not properly. They're not regulated properly. They can show anything. If you understand what I say, yeah.
But that's a wonderful thing. I am not at all an advocate of censorship.
Okay.
An OTT platform is an active choice you make. You're paying for it. You're getting it on your laptop by choice, and therefore, I'm assuming you're an adult and you have made that choice as an adult.
Yes, exactly.
And you have the choice to click exit at any point. So why should there be an external body regulating it? I understand we live in a very, very complex and layered country, and conversations here are much, much harder than in many other countries. But I think that I think streaming platforms are wonderful. I think they are enabling a new sort of storytelling. They are enabling a entirely new star system. They're giving opportunities to people who are great storytellers who might never get to make a Hindi film. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and I hope. And not all OTT storytelling is amazing. A lot of it is mediocre. A lot of it is really bad, which is fine because that's the way we will eventually come to a point where a lot of it is very good. So I think that it's a good thing. I don't think we can have enough.
Anshika, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So I just wanted to ask that you said that you included many your personal experience in the book. So would you like to share some experiences with our audience?
Well, I started writing books. I want to say like 20 years ago. The first book I wrote was about Sholay, which was it was called Sholay: The Making of a Classic, and that book won a national award for the best book on cinema. After which I wrote a book on Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. Then I wrote a book on Shah Rukh. So I've written, and there's also been through the years various compilations of my work. So compilations of my reviews of my writing. I started out working for India Today magazine. So it's been a long and very rewarding journey with writing books. I think it's very important to have a kind of a literature, if you will, around cinema. Because the film industry itself is not very good with archiving. They are now only understanding the importance of preserving a costume, keeping a prop, and of course keeping the film itself. But I think it's very important for us as writers and observers and journalists and film critics to kind of capture what a specific era in the movies was like. What was the industry like? What were their concerns? What were the politics? I think it's very important to have that around Indian cinema, because Indian cinema is one of the biggest social influencers in our country.
And ma'am, how do you think that critics judges a film, a movie?
Well, I can only speak for myself. I think it's different for different critics. For me, I go in with enthusiasm. I go in with a lot of love and hope. And then I look at how much the film has gripped me, how much it has spoken to me, how much have I engaged with it. And that's pretty much the journey. But it's a different process for each critic. And cinema is a very, very personal thing. Everybody has a different take. Everybody has a different opinion. Even when we watch look at what happened with Gehraiyan. You couldn't have more polarized reactions to a film than that, right? Some people just loved it and felt it spoke directly to them, and other people just hated it. So I think cinema is a living, breathing art, and a film changes depending, even if it's the same person. I see the films I saw 10 years ago and I respond differently. Maybe films I didn't really like or enjoy then, I now look at them and I'm like, wow, there's so much to like in this. There's so much to admire in this. So it all depends on who you are at that particular point in your life. And I think, for every critic, it's different.
Yes, ma'am, as it is very rightly said, that film industry is very uncertain. Like, we can't predict the success of a film. Like, it's very uncertain. It's very rightly said. So, ma'am, you are mentor to many of us. So, one advice you would like to give to our audience?
The only I'm not a big one for giving advice, but the only thing I have discovered in my life is that hard work will always trump talent. I know too many people with vast amount of talent who weren't willing to put in the work. And I think that's a fatal flaw. I think if you don't put in the work, it really doesn't matter how talented you are, or your talent will only get you that far. Finally, it's about your work ethic. And I think that you have to have that, just the discipline and the work ethic. There's a very famous book on it called Grit, which is a wonderful book about, and the woman who wrote it, whose name is completely, I'm not able to recall. There's lots of studies done where you're looking at people who work hard, and you're looking at people who are talented, and it's always the people who work hard who will get ahead. So that's it. Your nose has to be to the grind. There's no free lunches in life.
Okay. So, ma'am, this event is going on in hybrid mode, and we have audience sitting here in the auditorium as well. I received one question. Uh, I mean, this is kind of, how does a movie critic get away from his or her personal judgment or personal bias when talking about a movie? There are things we hold in our mind which may influence our decisions. So,
Of
how do
course.
you get away from those personal
Well,
biases?
you don't get away when you critique a film. You come to it as who you are. So you can't compartmentalize and say, "Ki I'm a different person when I watch a film just as a viewer. I'm a different person when I'm watching it as a critic." No, you are the same person, right? What you have to be mindful of is that you don't come in with an agenda, right? Or you don't let your biases get in the way. For example, I'm not a big fan of gore on screen. I find it very difficult to watch bloody sort of violence, where, people's limbs are being chopped off and people are sawing each other. I don't find that interesting at all. But I will watch a Quentin Tarantino film, and I cannot let my distaste for violence get in the way of trying to assess what that film is trying to do. You have to say that, yes, I have a problem with it, but that doesn't make this film bad. I'm going to look past my own bias to see, does this film do anything for me or not? So you have to be mindful of it, but you can't be somebody else. You are who you are.
It's difficult to ignore it, basically, but yeah, you have
You can't. It's a part of you, right?
Exactly.
There are people who come to films from an ideological lens. So there are critics who will see it from a feminist lens. They will see it from a political lens. I'm not that person, but there are people. So then you can't say, oh, because your reading is a feminist reading, it's wrong. No, it's another reading of the film. And that's what, films are finally texts. Good films, not all films, good films are texts. And they have to be read like novels. You can find 30 interpretations to it. You just should not come to a film with agendas. You shouldn't come to it saying, oh, I hate this actor, I hate this genre, I'm already not going to love it. I think that's unprofessional.
Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us and having a great session with you. We had a great session with you, and thank you so much for all the knowledge you gave us. So on an ending note, I'll just, express gratitude from all of the members present here and all of the viewers who are viewing us online. Also, I'd like to mention again that you can go check her book out, which is a place in my heart. I believe that it would hold a lot of knowledge for us as well, and would be a great and very interesting read. So I'll just thank you from the very bottom of my heart for joining us, ma'am. It was great interacting with you. It was great to see you live. Exactly.
And have a
It was great
wonderful
to see you live.
event. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye, ma'am. लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग खत्म हो गई है
Are you interested in enhancing your skills as an auditor? Or want a sparkling resume
Okay, so
with more
before
credibility and advanced certification? At
so
Auditor's
before we
Desk,
end
we are
the
giving you the
event,
opportunity to
I'll
become a
just like to
certified
mention
expert in
about
auditing
Auditor's Desk.
through our
Thank you so
comprehensive
much to
training
Auditor's Desk
courses.
for sponsoring
Our professionally
event.
designed
And
courses
Auditor's
will
Desk
include
is
theory
basically
to
a
practical training,
cloud-based
live question and
end-to-end
answer
audit
sessions,
platform
live
that is
classes
fully
by ex
customized
Big Four
based on
trainers,
your firm
and of course,
methodology
everything
to
you
assist
need to
audit
learn about the
teams to deliver
recent modified
high-quality
financial
audits.
scenario,
It's the
your
auditing firm
personality
which delivers
development, and mock
high-quality
auditing practicing on audit
high-quality
software.
auditing work to
So
all
what are
their
you waiting
clients.
for?
So you
Click
can
the link
check out
below
their
and
profile in
register
case you
today.
need to get any CS stuff done. and we'll thank them from the bottom of our heart for sponsoring our event.